Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit. Do apologize about that. Got a few videos coming out for you. And I know I like to say that I'm not trying to make this channel things to do with like politics or anything like that. But I have to talk about this particular one right here. So let's just listen in, shall we?
Order. And then, the monster who turned a Christmas parade into a living nightmare last year has finally been served justice. It was supposed to be a beautiful event for the community of Waukesha County, Wisconsin. You had dancers, marchers, floats celebrating the holidays. But then out of nowhere, an SUV swings onto Main Street and it topples barriers and plows through crowds of people. And that driver was 40-year-old Daryl Brooks, who had a long criminal history, including actually running over the mother of his child just weeks before, as well as resisting or obstructing an officer, bail jumping, recklessly endangering safety, disorderly conduct, and battery, which is part of the reason so many people were saying, how the hell was this guy out with the public? And it turned out he was out on $1,000 bail, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. But he was out, and he ended up killing 6 and injuring dozens more here, then fleeing the scene, but soon being arrested. With all of that leading to his trial last month, where he represented himself, pled not guilty, and then was convicted on all 76 counts, including 6 for first-degree intentional homicide, which carry mandatory life sentences.
Alright, I just want to talk about something real quick. This motherfucker had ran over the mother of his child and then was released on bail. I just want to point that out.
But also, all of this wasn't as simple as it sounds because Brooks is a sovereign citizen. Just in case you've never been down this rabbit hole, sovereign citizens are people who believe that the government is illegitimate, saying that it was taken over by a shadowy cabal in the 19th century and turned into a corporation that enslaves people with financial contracts, with estimates putting their numbers in the hundreds of thousands. And while their specific beliefs vary sometimes, they're also anti-Semitic, the point is that they don't think that the laws apply to them. So unsurprisingly, when you put someone that deluded into a courtroom, you get a circus. And that's exactly what happened, with Brooks constantly disrupting testimony, pounding his fists on the table, staring menacingly at the judge, rolling his eyes as the victim spoke, and ranting about his rights being violated. I could show you all of that and you'd be fucking blown away by all the video if you haven't seen it already, but that's not why I'm covering this story. Fuck that monster. This motherfucker was trying to perform. I only want to talk about your fucking curtain call and actually using that to provide a platform for your victims, because this week they gave their impact statements during sentencing and it was absolutely crushing. Though even that couldn't just happen. You saw the entire courtroom being evacuated after police alerted that someone had made a threat, but when the building was secured, the proceedings resumed. That was when you saw the grief and the rage flood the room, with Jessica Gonzalez, who was at the parade, describing the carnage.
Now, before we get into this, I just want to warn you all, this is it's pretty ridiculous what happened, and the fact that it took this long for him to be sentenced. It's been a year since this man was caught. Like, it's insane. It should not take this long to bring justice to someone who we know and have evidence is the killer. Like, there's no defense. And we'll get back to defense in a moment, towards the end of this section.
Then the gasps and screams came from everywhere, and the red SUV sped past us. I yelled stop and put my hands out like I had the power to make it happen.
She describes running to find her son, seeing the body of his 8-year-old friend Jackson Sparks, who was killed that day, right there on the ground.
Seeing Jackson on the ground, I began looking for my son amongst the rest of the bodies. I screamed hysterically, searching frantically. What ifs filled my head. I heard Mom from so many directions, but it wasn't him.
And while she's fortunate enough to find her son unharmed, she says they were deeply traumatized by the experience and felt survivor's guilt. You also had this heart-wrenching speech from Sherry Sparks, Jackson's mother.
I wish I would have known then that the hug he gave me before I went to sit down was the last hug I would ever get from him. I would have held on to him a lot longer.
She describes seeing a police officer carrying Jackson to get medical attention, finding her other son Tucker lying half-conscious among the bodies, saying both boys went to the ICU with severe head and brain injuries.
The next day, Tucker asked us about Jackson, if he was okay or was he worse. than himself. Do you have any idea how gut-wrenching it is to have to explain your 12-year-old son that his little brother isn't going to make it? His injuries are too extensive for his little body to come back from. And that he won't be coming home with us ever again. He was robbed of everything. He'll never get to hit a home run, catch frogs with his brother again, meet his wrestling hero Braun Strowman. He won't ask a girl to prom. He won't go to college, get married, or have children of his own.
We then heard from Alicia Kulik, daughter of Jane Kulik, who talked.
Alright, once again, I'm going to jump in here before this next person. Thank you, Philip DeFranco. I want to emphasize exactly what is being said here. This man, it wasn't that and it's insane that I'm even making this kind of comparison. It's not like he killed only 1 or 2 or 3 people. Okay, this man who believes he's a sovereign citizen and is above the law, which, by the way, no one is. Not even this delusional fuckface, which we'll get back to in a moment. He took an SUV, a vehicle, something that he legally acquired after going and passing a driving test, both a written and driving portion of it. He went through 2 tests to get his license, and then had to go and buy this vehicle, which is a lot more expensive than a gun.
Talks about arriving at the hospital after finding out her mom had been struck.
I'll never forget the things I saw that day. I will never forget the chaos of parents searching for their children, demanding answers as we were for my mom. I specifically remember seeing the extreme dancers with gashes in their head and cuts all over their body and blood all over their clothes. In one direction, I saw one girl, probably no older than 10, seizing in her wheelchair, and the mother just screaming, not knowing what to do for her precious child.
Describing how she waited there with her dad and her sister until a doctor finally sat them down and informed them that her mom had died, and saying she still hasn't been able to process what happened and that every holiday since hasn't been the same without her.
Oftentimes when I hear sirens, I'm scared. I'm scared that another family has to go through what I went through.
And adding the painful fact that even though she's glad the jury convicted Brooks, it can never bring her mom back.
She will not ever make me another dinner. She will not ever attend my wedding. And I'll never get to hear her voice or hug her again. So really, it changes nothing for me.
And her sister Taylor Kulik also adding her pain to the courtroom.
Mom and I were super tight. I could talk to her about anything in the world. I'm missing those text messages. I miss hearing her voice on the phone and receiving her adorable voicemails.
Others directing their anger at Brooks himself, like the son of Lee Owen, who was killed in the parade.
And you have the audacity to tell this court that your conscience is clear. I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks. There's not a human with a soul on this planet who could snuff that light out, who could steal Lee Owen from this world and have a clear conscience.
Meanwhile, you have fuckface Brooks doing his whole charade, interrupting the judge and others, leading to this moment from someone in the courtroom.
Piece of shit. Listen up and listen what she has to say.
All right.
God damn.
But despite that, he just keeps arguing with the judge, who eventually has enough and just kicks him out of the courtroom. And hey, to quote that guy, hopefully this is going to be the last time we ever see this worthless piece of shit. Though,
Alright, this is going to be close to the end of the video. This ain't going to be a long video, and I'm going to upload this footage as is. I might do a little bit of audio adjusting to make sure that my background noise is kind of cut down or muted a little bit more. But this man who had been convicted of running over his daughter's mother, okay, was released on bond, like $1,000, then proceeded to go and take another vehicle, and potentially the same vehicle, I don't know for a fact, but another vehicle at the very least, and drive into a crowd of people. And it took this long to convict him.
His family gave their own statement saying that he's mentally ill and pleading for the victim's forgiveness. But ultimately, the judge handed down 762 years behind bars and 6 life sentences, saying that he shows no remorse, no empathy, and that nobody's safe from him.
Some people, unfortunately, choose a path of evil. And I think, Mr. Brooks, you are one of those such persons.
So enjoy your hold, Daryl. The only thing you provided to this world was pain. And now I hope you fester in your own until the day you die.
Alright. So, thank you to the judge who locked this man away indefinitely, making sure this monster will never see the light of day again. I don't think, and I know there are a lot of people who think that this man should just get the death penalty, and to a certain extent I do agree. This man is not necessarily fit to be able to benefit the rest of mankind. However, and it harm none, do what ye will. I cannot condone or say I want the death penalty. However, him being locked away and kept out of society is the best measure, and it is the correct step in moving forward. I just wish it took less than a year to reach this conclusion and to reach this point, because it shouldn't take this long to get here. It just shouldn't. This is absolutely ridiculous, and he should have been locked away a long time ago. But now he is, thankfully. And while this is a good thing, we have to remember that our justice system is slow moving. While yes, it should take less time to get these kind of convictions, they don't. The simple fact of our justice system. Hopefully it will change. Hopefully it will get faster, and these kind of things can move forward a lot faster, and justice can be served quickly and properly. That's what I hope for. But at the moment, this is how quickly our justice system can work. Because they need facts, they need evidence, and for some reason the evidence that was provided was not good enough to provide a quicker court trial. But it's done now. There are a lot of things that are happening in the United States as far as the justice system is concerned that we need to be aware of, that we need to speak out on. The biggest example that I can give, and the most blatant example that I can give, is Detroit and Chicago. It's one of the most crime-ridden cities in the entirety of the United States. And politicians from both sides for years and years and years now have said they're going to clean it up, and nothing has been done. The violence gets worse. There are 50 plus killings a week in Chicago. It's insane the city is still standing with how many people die every single week in that city. It's absolutely ridiculous. These kind of situations and these kind of things need to be brought to the attention of everyone, and it needs to be done in a way that doesn't spread misinformation. We need to be able to talk to people and tell them that these are things and these that need to change, and these are things that our politicians are truly not taking seriously enough to make the change. What we need to do, stop voting for just anyone who says they're going to do it. Look at their track record. Ignore what everyone says. Ignore what your mom says. Ignore what your brother says. Ignore what the politicians say. Ignore what Trump says. Ignore what the president says. Ignore what everyone says. Look at their track record. Look at what they have actually done for yourself. Don't believe a word literally anyone else says. Take everyone else's word with a grain of salt and do your own research. Look the information up yourself and make sure that it's correct. Because that's the only way you're going to know, is if you look it up yourself. If you just go with what everyone else says, that's how misinformation spreads. Our justice system can be made faster. We can make it better, but we need to do it the proper way. We need to tell other people about it, and we need to actually use our votes for things that matter, not on people that only say they're going to do something. This goes for both Republicans and Democrats, independents and conservatives. This goes for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are able to vote, vote for someone who has a proven track record. Don't vote for the guy that says they're going to run against the other guy. Don't vote for someone because they're Republican. Don't vote for someone because they're Democrat. Don't vote for them because of what they say they're going to do. Vote for them based off of who they are as a person. Vote for them based off of their character. And that, when we do that, when we vote people in based off of their character, rather than what they say they're going to do, that is when our country as a whole become way better. And it'll go back to being the greatest country on earth. Look forward to some videos coming out soon. I promise. They're going to be about D&D, specifically the one D&D that has been released recently. So look forward to those. Those should be releasing within about a week or so. So until the next video, everyone, I've been the DM. This is my corner. I'll see you next time.